Okay, we're back with part 2 of the video series, Updating Your Home on the Cheap. A little FYI, I hate using the word cheap. It should be Updating Your Home Inexpensively, but that title really doesn't roll off your tongue the same way. Because the way we're doing it, it's not cheap materials, doesn't look cheap, there's nothing cheap about it, it's just inexpensive. So, a little side note. Okay, so in the first video, we talked about the basics. We talked about lighting, door hardware, light switches, and electrical outlets. If you haven't watched that video, you need to go do that first. If you haven't done the work, while you can watch this video and take notes and all that, I wouldn't do what's in this video before doing the stuff in the basics video. So if you haven't watched the video, just click on my name below and it should take you to the playlist where you can watch the first video in the series, which was, the basics. So this video, we're gonna focus on flooring. So one reason you do the basics first is, the main component in the basics is the recessed lighting. And as I mentioned in the first video, recessed lighting, you can change the color of the light. So we typically go between like 3000K and 4000K. And while that sounds kind of similar in numbers, there's a vast difference in the color of the light. And the color of the light changes the color of your paint in the home, it changes the color of the flooring, everything. So we do the lights first, and then we move on to things like flooring, paint, counters, all that. This is why it's recommended to do your lights first. We always do lights first when we're upgrading homes for market, because we know if we don't, whatever we choose, whatever materials we put in may look one way, and then we change the lights and they look totally different from what we had planned. And now we're kind of in a tough spot. So it's lights first, then everything else. So let's do the flooring. Over the last 30 years, the market's been dominated by tile, laminate, and hardwood. The days of sheet vinyl, linoleum, those are long gone. I mean, we still see them in homes that haven't been updated in 50 years, but they don't put that stuff in anymore. The last 30 years have been, in bathrooms, they'll put tile, just builder grade tile, and then mostly laminate and carpet throughout the house. Carpet, I'm not gonna dive too much into. All I'm gonna say is get yours shampooed twice a year. Some people have had their carpet for 10 years, never shampooed it. Amazes me. I get mine done 3 to 4 times a year. I just have a shampooer that I use myself. The amount of mud that comes out of my carpet doing it 4 times a year is almost unfathomable. And I don't even have kids, I just have the dogs and me, and the amount of mud that comes out of it is unbelievable. So if you haven't actually shampooed your carpet, or you don't shampoo your carpet, I would start there. You can do it yourself. You can rent one at CVS or Home Depot, or if you need a company to do it, I have a great one in Gilroy and Morgan Hill. It's about 65 cents a square foot. Very cheap. I think you can do depends on the size of your home, but it's not gonna be more than $500, $750 for a very large home. So that's a good place to start. Otherwise, I'm not gonna talk too much about carpet. Just if you wanna replace it, Home Depot is your best bet in terms of pricing. They carry great brands. The service is fantastic. The pricing cannot be beat anywhere. Go to Home Depot. If you need help, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you pick out whatever, give you pointers. I wanna focus most of this video on the other parts of the house, the other type of flooring these days that's predominantly used. So laminate has been used. It was used a lot over the last 20 to 30 years in place of hardwood. Hardwood, in my opinion, it can kind of be looked at as a high-end finish for a home, but it's not very durable. Wood dings easy, it scratches super easy. If you have kids, if you have pets, if you're just clumsy and drop stuff, all that is gonna destroy hardwood, and hardwood is very expensive. Yes, you can refinish if you put in solid hardwood, which typically is like oak or cherry, you can refinish it, but refinishing costs a ton of money, and the install cost for putting solid hardwood is through the roof. So I don't know why people still put hardwood in their homes. It's not something I ever recommend, even for luxury homes. What we do these days is a product called luxury vinyl planking, LVP. So, well, let me back up a little bit. Laminate was a less expensive alternative to hardwood. Laminate is kind of like, it's not particle board, it's like MDF, and then it's got a printed piece of paper on top of that, and then it's got a clear coat layer on top of that. MDF, when it gets wet, swells, so laminate is not waterproof by any means. You generally would never put it in a kitchen, never put it in bathrooms, because those are areas that get wet. So laminate has its restrictions, plus it's just not very durable. Yes, it's more durable than hardwood, but once the clear coat on laminate gets punctured, then the paper can rip, tear, water gets in there. It's just a huge mess. There's a much better product these days, and that's LVP. So LVP is actually made of vinyl. It comes in any shade, any size plank. It comes in any, like a gazillion different textures. And this stuff is bulletproof, waterproof. You can submerge it in a pool and it's gonna be totally fine. You can have pets on it, you can have kids on it. It's never gonna show anywhere. This stuff is like indestructible. The only way I've ever been able to damage LVP is with a 4-pound hammer or a sledgehammer. That's it. So this stuff is amazing. It's easy to install. It's cost effective. It's the same price as laminate. I don't even know why anyone buys laminate anymore. It's just because they're uneducated, but that's why we're doing this video series, is to help people out. So LVP is the way to go. Some people like to put it throughout their entire house. Some people like to keep carpet in the bedrooms. I'm a carpet in the bedrooms guy, but it varies by it's just personal preference. Cost for LVP. So if you go to a local flooring store or a mainstream flooring store, the cost for LVP in your house, out the door, probably $20 a square foot. That's freaking expensive. If you have a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot home and you're putting LVP throughout, which you can put it in kitchen, you can put it in the kitchen, you can put it in your bathrooms, you can put it throughout the entire house. 2,000 square feet, 40 grand. 3,000 square feet, 60 grand. That's a lot of money just to redo the floors. There is a much more cost-effective way to do it. So the actual material, like a good LVP, high quality 12 mil to 20 mil, that's the thickness, that has the underlayment on the bottom of the boards, it's tongue and groove, it's easy to install. It's only gonna be $4 to $5 a square foot for material costs. That's not that bad. If you have a general contractor install it, it's gonna be a little more expensive, but if you have a flooring installer, which is just someone who works for a flooring contractor or a general contractor and does flooring, they will work for you on the side, and I have plenty of them if you need one. They generally charge $2 to $2.50 a square foot. So if you're having them install it, the total cost is about $7.50 a square foot. And again, that's ballpark. It could be a little less, it could be a little more, say maybe $6 to $8 a square foot. But that's a third of what you're gonna pay if you're going to a mainstream or local flooring store. Let's just say $7 a square foot. If you have a 2,000 square foot home and you wanna do it throughout, which you don't have to do, again, you can do carpet in the bedrooms or keep carpet in the bedrooms and just do the hallways and the kitchen and the bathrooms and the main living areas downstairs. But even if you're doing all 2,000 square feet, it's more like $15,000. Well, that's way more palatable cost than 40 to 60. So even if you have a larger home and you're spending 20 grand, that is way better than spending 60. I mean, if you can redo all the flooring in a 3,000 square foot home for 20 grand, that's great. Again, I wouldn't do the bedrooms. The bedrooms account for maybe a third of the square footage, maybe even 40% of the square footage, depending on the bedroom count. You can redo the flooring for far less because you're only doing, maybe 60% of your total square footage. Anyways, that's the way to go. If you want to install it yourself, I guarantee you, no matter who you are, as long as you're as long as you can spend some time on your knees, which I would highly recommend knee pads from experience. But if you can spend some time on your knees and a table saw doesn't, or I'm sorry, not a table saw, a chop saw doesn't scare you, and you have space to work in your garage, you can do it yourself. There's a gazillion videos on YouTube on how to install LVP. You can do lots of different patterns. There's the standard pattern, which is just kind of like a staggered, random, there is no pattern essentially. That's the easiest way. You can do a herringbone pattern. There's lots of different ways to do it, and they just vary in the amount of time and effort needed to do them. But if you want to do it yourself, you can save the money for the install. Then you're just looking at material costs. When you buy the material, just reach out to me. There's flooring distributors that you can go through, and that's where you can get the $4 to $5. You can't go to Home Depot and buy it that way, and you're just going to pay inflated costs anyways because Home Depot has to mark everything up. But when you order from a flooring distributor, they typically order in bulk, and you're paying a very small overhead fee, and you just go pick it up. Most of them are in San Jose, Santa Clara. I've used quite a few. It's super easy to do, but you need to decide on the material that you want to use before you order it, obviously. So it may help to go into some flooring stores and just get some samples and bring them back to your house to look at under your new lights to see how they look. You can't really pick something out at a store because their lighting is a lot different than your lighting. So what you see there is not going to be what you see at your house. Their paint color's different, the light's different. So the general ambiance or ambient light of the store is far different than the ambient light of your house. So it'll look way different. You have to get samples, you have to bring them to your house, get a bunch, things that you like, lay them all down, pare it down so maybe you have a couple, and then lay them around the house for a couple days and pick out the one you like best. Pretty easy. LVP is the way to go. Like I said, no one does tile anymore. Builders put in tile because it's cheap, but tile is freezing cold in the wintertime. It absorbs the cold and then emanates cold into your house. Terrible. You can't walk around barefoot. You can walk around in socks, but you're still gonna feel it, and it just makes your whole house cold. LVP, almost like an insulation barrier for the floor, doesn't get cold, just kind of stays. I mean, if it's freezing outside, yes, your LVP is going to be a little bit on the cooler side, but it's not like tile where it's going to be the same temperature as outside. So LVP, the way to go. The other thing I wanted to talk about in flooring is baseboards. So when you redo your flooring, chances are you're not installing the exact same thickness flooring as what was there before. So typically when you're going to redo flooring, you take off all the baseboards in your house. Very easy process to do. Any handyman can do it. But when you take it off, most of it's going to get damaged. It's probably already damaged anyways. If you have kids, pets, or just a lot of foot traffic in your house, baseboards get bumped and dinged all the time. It's kind of mind-boggling really, because you don't think that you're running into the walls of your house that often. But if you look around your baseboards, if you haven't ever got them replaced, you don't maintain them with paint here and there, they're probably pretty dinged up. So when you're redoing the floors, good time to just redo the baseboards. I wouldn't recommend going to Home Depot and just buying baseboard. Go to a molding company or a store that specializes in moldings. So I go to a place in Santa Clara called, the company name is The Molding Company. They have everything under the sun, and they have it in two different materials. So there's MDF, which is less expensive, but it isn't waterproof and it's not very durable. It also comes in pine. So pine is actually wood, much more durable, much more waterproof, and the end result is going to look the same between the two, but over time, the pine will maintain looking amazing while the MDF will get beat to, crap. So I would always go with pine. Pine's nominally more, maybe 20-30% more, but buying baseboards for your whole house, your entire house, really isn't. Maybe $1,000 for a standard size home, $1,500 maybe if you have a massive home and you want to go with like a higher grade. They come in lots of different heights, thicknesses, all that stuff. So you just have to go to the molding company, pick up some samples. I mean, if you're sure about what you want, you could just pick it out at the store, but you could bring them home, see how they're going to look, how they're going to go with the rest of your finishes in the home if you want. When you buy them from the molding company, they come in 16-foot lengths. You could have them cut them down to 8 feet if you want. They come primed, so they're ready to paint. You don't have to do this all yourself. The flooring installer that's going to put in your LVP, they will know how to cut all the baseboards to size. They'll have them all ready to go. You can have a painter reach out to me for a painter. They will, once they're all cut, the painter will come and just spray them, or they'll take all the material to their shop, just spray them so they're ready to go. Once they get installed, the painter can come back and just do a little touch up, piece of cake. Don't do the flooring without doing the baseboards. You got to tear them out anyways. Might as well just put all new baseboards. While you don't think baseboards make a big difference in a house, if you're paying 10% more for a much nicer baseboard, yeah, it's going to make a difference. When you put in a nice floor, people are always going to be looking at it. Like, they walk in, it's not a typical floor. Not everyone does LVP. People look down, they see the baseboards. If no one noticed baseboards, they wouldn't put them in the house. People notice them. It's just not something that you stare at and consciously are like, oh, wow, that's really nice baseboard. No, it's just kind of like something that people see out of their peripheral. Go with the higher end baseboard. It's not going to be that much more expensive. You're already paying for the labor. It's not any more labor to install a nicer baseboard than it is a cheaper baseboard. It's all the same. So pay 10-20% more for a nicer baseboard, and your house is just going to be that much nicer. I think that pretty much covers it for flooring. I could go on for an hour about carpet, different types of LVP, laminate, porcelain tile, pros and cons for everything. But, for the most part, stick with carpet, stick with LVP. If you go the cost-effective route that I've described, it's really not going to be that expensive. If you do LVP, your floor is now indestructible. If you pick something that's relatively neutral, you can enjoy it while you're living there, and then it'll be absolutely perfect, ready to go for when you sell, and it just makes the house so much nicer. So, it's a great choice if you need to do your flooring. Just go that route from the get-go. If you need help picking something that's quote-unquote neutral, I'm happy to help you. You want to stick away from things that look red, things that look yellow. You're going for a neutral. That doesn't mean gray. It just means not heavily leaning towards one of the colors. And typically, no one's going to put in like a green floor, but they can definitely shade towards heavy yellow. They can definitely shade towards heavy red. I'd stay away from those. You need to get it under the light in your house to see how it looks. Again, to make sure that just because something doesn't look red in the shop, in the flooring store, doesn't mean it won't look red in your house. So if you have any questions, again, I'm happy to come over and take a look. I'm free. It doesn't cost anything. Just let me know. I'm happy to help. Next month, I haven't decided on what we're going to look at, but we're just going to keep moving up. I think we'll probably do cabinets or counters. That's a pretty fun one and one of the most common upgrades because it changes the entire aesthetic of the home and can be done for a lot cheaper than you think. So we'll probably do counters or cabinets, and there's a lot of different options for different budgets, but they both have a really high effect. So we'll go over that next month.